Good morning, folks. How are you doing? Today is the 23rd day of October, 2024. It's about 9:30 in the morning on a beautiful Wednesday morning down here in Tampa, Florida. Um, Keeping with my tradition of punching up and never down, I'm going to talk today about Gideon Levy, who is a human rights activist, writer, scholar, and Israeli, and supposedly a longtime Palestinian rights activist from within Israel. I'm going to talk about his previous stance, and I'm not sure if it's still his stance on the question of the one state versus two state solution. He is a proponent of the one state solution, and he uses the same argument 8 years ago. I'm going to show you at a discussion he gave at in Oxford, the Oxford Student Union, an argument that he presents for the one state as opposed to the two state solution 8 years ago, 2016, I guess, which he is wholly fucking porous. And I'm going to explain to you why. But first, we're going to talk briefly about what's going on with Patreon. I have no idea what's going on with Patreon. Apparently, Apple bought it. And now they have stated that the only thing that they're going to, as of November of 2024, the only Patreon accounts that they're going to recognize will be the ones that go through the Apple app, and then you get paid through the Apple app. And I don't have an Apple. I'm sure there's some tangible way for me to do it. I guess if I download the Apple app on my fucking Android, I don't know how the hell that's going to work. So Patreon may in fact not pay me this coming month. I have, and I'll show you what I've gone through. I'll show you what I've done. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen here. I just bring this up because some of you out there have, thank you very much, made commitments to help me out month by month through Patreon. I don't know what's going to happen. You have an option. You can switch when the requirement starts in November to Apple's iOS app. They will be, I guess, transforming or transferring. They're not going to be able to transfer. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't get a lot of money on Patreon. I never really talk about Patreon. Some people doing these videos mention the Patreon apps, mention the Cash apps, mention all kinds of things during each video. I don't do that. I will occasionally when things get bad, and I'm just doing it now so that you have an understanding. It may or may not be taken out of your account this coming month for November. I don't know. Because Apple bought it. Apple wants to make sure they get their piece of the pie. It's not enough just for them to get a piece as they take it out. They also want a piece when somebody puts it in. So that's what they're doing. Now, I was given an option to click on switch manually when I'm ready to the iOS app system, which I clicked on that and I hit save. And so just to show you, that's what I'm doing now. I don't know what this means. I get the feeling, and it's just a feeling, but I get the feeling that what's going to happen is from now on, you will have to use the Apple app if you want to support somebody through Patreon. Whether or not they will continue for the next 12 months to honor the payment methods that people have already used. Some of you may be using the Apple thing already. And for all of you, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. Some of you may already be on that. I don't know. Some of you, it might be 12 months. But at some point in time, if you're not on the Apple thing, whatever the fucking Apple thing is, then I guess that will be canceled, and it might even start this November. I've been given plenty of time. I could have bought an Apple, but I didn't. Fuck Apple. That just cost you some Patreon subscribers right there, didn't it? Fuck Apple. But the reality is, I don't know what it's going to do. And at this point, I've done what I can. Let's just cross our fingers and hope that I've got a 12-month reprieve from glorious Apple before they snatch up everything else in the fucking world. Don't know. You might find out. If something happens and you get a thing saying Patreon is no longer accepting your money, it's not me doing it, just so you know. That's the reason I'm making this video. That's the reason I'm making this statement. It's not me doing it. It's Apple doing it. And then, of course, because they make it so difficult to understand what the hell they plan on doing over the next 12 months during my transition period, I don't know. So if that happens, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. If it doesn't happen, good. But if people decide to say, hey, I'm going to help Scott with Patreon, they click on the Patreon thing and, oh, you got to have the Apple app. I'm not trying to get people to fucking force people to buy Apple apps and Apple phones and all that shit. Because I'm damn sure not going to buy one. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on from there. I want just a heads up. Just so you know the little bit of information that I know about this situation. Apple's going to get their piece. Big business is always going to get their piece. Okay. Gideon Levy. This recent thing with Aunt Bibi and these individuals, whether they are well-meaning or not, I'm sure some of them are at this Fraser Valley Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights thing. Some of them are certainly well-meaning. They don't realize that they're being led by the nose by people who may not be. Their argument against Aunt Bibi. Now they're saying all kinds of awful things about Aunt Bibi, and she's a Zionist infiltrator, and she's there to break up the fucking harmony of the group. Meanwhile, they're using intersectionality to tell all the white members, your opinions don't matter because you're white. But it's Aunt Bibi who's trying to break up the fucking solidarity groups. Yeah, right. And of course, they're telling the members, we stand for Palestine, but not really Palestine. We stand for human rights for the Palestinians, not the Palestinian state. This, as I explained to Aunt Bibi, is something that I dealt with decades ago. There's a reason Gideon Levy, as important as he is, now there is because I had to put one in, but there's a reason there was no tag on the right-hand side of my website. I've got all these different topics. There's a reason there was no Gideon Levy topic on my website for these many years, because Gideon Levy is one of those people that I mentioned who were the big influencers and supposed fucking Palestinian rights supporters who advocated for the one-state solution. And as I have made perfectly clear, they have one justification for doing so. And it is the same justification that has been explained to Aunt Bibi by these folks over there at the Fraser Valley Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights, but not for Palestine group. And that justification is you can not possibly move the 700,000 or 800,000 settlers off the stolen land. That can't be done. And I'm not making this up. For those of you who saw the video, I talked about this the other day, just yesterday, with this solidarity group. I told you that that's the propaganda that they use. Well, here's Gideon Levy, a man who was invited to give the final fucking argument at the Oxford Student Union in support of the one-state solution. That is how well known and respected Gideon Levy is. They don't invite jackasses like myself to speak before the Oxford Student Union. These are the future intellectual leadership class of the world. God damn this fucking cough. I'm sorry. This is Gideon Levy. God damn it. Presenting his final argument. His only argument.
Now, when the two-state solution is impossible, then they come up. Because they know that it will never happen. Now they come up, even Netanyahu can say two-state solution. Why not? Even most of the Israelis will say it in polls. Why not? Because they know that this train left already the station and will never be back. Because nobody is going to evacuate 700,000 settlers. And without evacuation of 700,000 settlers, there is no two-state solution.
So, why not?
There is all kind of Bentustans, all kind of other solutions, but
why not?
Not a real solution.
Why not?
Sorry.
When it comes to life on the go,
you. I didn't realize that was going to happen. Go to fuck yourself. But good, we got to the part where he says the gist of it. God damn it. But he cannot and will not bring himself to explain why you cannot remove 700, 800,000 settlers on illegal land. God damn it. Why can't they? In 2024, they were able to displace 1.9 million people in Gaza. They could move 1.9 million fucking people displaced in Gaza. And you're telling me they can't move 800,000? Why is that? I mean, has technology changed so much since 8 years ago? Oh, well, now they can do it. Then they couldn't do it. Right, Mr. Levy? They moved 750,000 people in 1948. What's the difference, Mr. Levy? What's the fucking difference? The 800,000 that are on illegal stolen land in the West Bank are Jews. Right, Mr. Levy? And Jews can't treat Jews the way they treat Palestinians. And your whole argument is, instead of removing them and giving the land back to the Palestinians that was stolen from them, instead of that, we'll give them human rights. We'll give them this intangible fucking thing, human rights. Here you go. You've got some human rights, and you can vote. By the way, it's the same fucking argument this people in the Solidarity group make today, and give them the ability to vote, and give them human rights while keeping their fucking land. Well, are you really giving them human rights if their land has been stolen and you refuse to fucking hold accountable the people who stole it and give it back to them? Do they have any fucking human rights? No. They do not. And we know what the fucking messianic, rabid, Zionist fascists will do even after you give them the human rights. I posted a thing about the settlers and the settler situation, a documentary. It's on my website. Go down there and look at it. Just scroll down and look at it. What you will see is that these people are every night going down. They've got their settlement up on the high on the hill so they can watch over the other people, the Palestinians, the land that they've stolen, the settlers, and they're looking to, and at night they sneak down and they fuck shit up. They set fire to shit. They burn people. They burn children. They burn houses. They burn cars. They burn crops. Why? Because they want more land. You think for one fucking second you leave those motherfuckers in there. You say, okay, Palestinians, you have human rights. Now all of Palestine is Israel and you have human rights. What do you think those fucking Zionists are going to do? You think they're going to stop trying to get more land? After you've made it perfectly fucking clear you're not going to hold them accountable for the land they've already stolen. They've already stolen. He says, it's like, what do? You got a car. You steal someone's car. How did he put it? How did he put it? I wrote this. Go look at it. It's interesting. This is what he put. When I steal your car, I cannot put conditions on returning the car. So, give them back the car by giving them equal rights. But you don't give them the car. What are you talking about? You're doing exactly what you say you can't do. Put conditions on it. You steal the fucking land. Guess what? If they have human rights, you give them back the land. You don't say, oh, you have human rights now. You got my respect. Turn on the ignition. Put down the fucking top on the car you stole and drive away laughing. Ha ha ha, sucker. Only, I hate to say this, but only fucking Jews would be so goddamn arrogant as to think for a second that this logic somehow works. Why can you not do to the Jews who are on stolen land that you yourself admit, Mr. Levy, is stolen? Why can you not force them to leave that fucking land? I'll tell you what. Because Jew must not raise arms against Jew. That's why, Mr. Levy. You talk about Gideon, I keep wanting to call him Gordon. He gives a very compelling speech 11 months ago. This is an older Gideon Levy. And he explains the three things, the three justifications why average Israelis can do to the Palestinians what's happening today. He has three reasons. The first reason is Israelis believe they are the chosen people. They are the chosen people. God has promised them the land from the river to the river. Not the river to the sea. Not Jordanian river to the fucking Mediterranean. The river being Euphrates to the river being the Nile. This is what they call Greater Israel. The Nile ends here. The Nile starts there. The Euphrates starts here. The Euphrates ends there. That's why there's a straight line from the river to the river. To your descendants I give the land from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates. The river of Egypt meaning, of course, . Bat River. I just can't remember the name all of a sudden. That's what he's talking about. That's what they're talking about. That's what this is all about. You are the chosen people by God. I keep wanting to say the river Styx. Be more appropriate, wouldn't it? So that's the first reason that Israel, according to Gideon Levy, that's the first reason Israelis are allowing this to continue. Second reason, they argue that there were more brutal fucking occupations in the history of fucking the world, and yet, even though this is one of the longest lasting occupations and most brutal, it is the only occupation where the occupiers consider themselves the perpetual victims. Okay? So, they are God's chosen people, and they are the fucking victims no matter what. Which is, of course, why all this time I have focused so much energy trying to explain to people that what they think happened on October the 7th isn't actually what happened. But that's why it's so important. That's why it's a foundation upon all of this. By the way, as he points out, Golda Meir once famously said of the Holocaust, since the Holocaust, the Jewish people can get away with anything because they are the perpetual victims. And then lastly, and this is the most important, the demonization of Palestinians as being less than human. These three fucking things are what perpetuate this genocide. It is not that they are all on board with this. Believe it or not, all of the Jews in Israel are not necessarily messianic fucking Zionists. I'm going to show you a couple of videos in a few seconds talking where this guy's talking about, he's explaining, he's a famous rabbi giving a fucking speech, a lecture on Yom Kippur. And he's talking about two young Jews saying, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You always side with Jews. We are always the fucking victims. And you're not Zionist enough. What's wrong with you? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Without those three things, and Levy is absolutely right. This is his speech from 11 months ago, which, by the way, you can watch yourself all day long, right there. Beautifully done. That's not what I have taken exception with. What I take exception with is that here we are 8 fucking years later. And Israel has not leaned further into treating the Palestinians with compassion, with empathy, with sympathy, treating them as equals. They have gone way over the line in the other direction. When he says the only reason the two-state solution, and this is again from 2016, when he says the only reason the two-state solution is dead in the water and can never happen, the only fucking justification they have to give, any of them, then, now, before he made that fucking statement, and I'm sure a year from now after I'm gone. The only justification is you can't get rid of the settlers. They got rid of the settlers in 2005 from Gaza. Why can't you? When someone says that, why? They moved 1.9 million fucking Palestinians off their fucking land since October of 2023. Why the fuck can't you move 800, 700, 600, 500,000 fucking Jews off stolen land today. Why not? I'll sit here and wait for your answer. Please. Please. Because the only answer you got is Jewish fucking supremacy. Jew cannot do to Jew what Jew can do to fucking Palestinians. And that, boys and girls, is that same fucking dehumanization and Jewish supremacy that Mr. Levy condemned 7 years after his statement about the one-state solution. He is the embodiment of what he's talking about. Of course, you can move them off the land. The only reason these little skinny fucking twerps have the ability to take land and hold land is because, as I'll show you now. The only reason they can do it is because of what people like this are doing. I'm not going to read it for you, read it yourself.
הפתרון הכי מוסרי, הכי נכון, לא בכפייה, אבל להגיד להם, אנחנו נותנים לכם את האפשרות, לכו מכאן לארצות אחרות, ארץ ישראל שלנו.
He seems to think they're still capable of moving people off land.
כן, זו ארץ ישראל
שלנו.
אנחנו מורגלים הרבה מאוד שנים לצטט את הרב חרל"פ, שהסביר לנו את הנקודה העיקרית.
When we look at where the Gentiles, the non-Jews are,
שמסתכלים איפה הגויים נלחמים,
we fight them. Oh, well, that's one way to do it.
זאת הנקודה שדרכה
This is the point
הכל
where everything
מתברר.
becomes clear.
אנחנו הולכים, עזה היא חלק מארץ ישראל.
Gaza is the part of the land of Israel.
והלקח המרכזי של השנה האחרונה.
Here's the main lesson. Here's the main lesson for you guys today from this video I wanted you to take with you.
ועם ישראל ברובו הגדול מבין אותו. שאיפה שיש התיישבות,
Where there's a settlement, there's security, meaning that they have armed fucking settlers, some of which were killed on October the 7th. Oh my God, they were victims. They were armed settlers.
יש ביטחון. איפה שיש נוכחות
And where there's civilian presence,
אזרחית, יש נוכחות צבאית.
there's military presence. There's military.
תראו, אין ויכוח על זה.
And they're going to put the IDF in Gaza to rule over Gaza. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I just can't. That stuff I tried yesterday doesn't work. But it's so damn tasty. If you sign the peace deal, recognize Palestine as per the June 1967 borders, as per the 1949 agreement from the United Nations resolution. I'm very sorry. You do that, and the future of Israel, as it is, the future of Israel is at stake. Because you are going to not only recognize Palestine, but Palestine is going to recognize you. God damn it. And so too is Saudi Arabia. So too is Malaysia. So too is Iran. So too is a number of other nation states. Once they recognize you, they will do business with you. God damn it. Once they recognize you, they will do business with you. And you will profit, and your standard of living will go up, and you will have scores of opportunities for the Israeli citizenry across the board. Not only that, but also Jewry across the world. This is a very positive thing for them. Now, the only thing standing between that positive outcome for the whole of Israel and Jewry across the world, if the only thing that stands between that and where you are today are 800,000 little, whiny, cowardly bullies, messianic Zionists, who refuse to give up the land that they stole by all rights because God told them to, then you are a fucking weak-ass nation if you don't look at that and say, we'll deal with the 800,000. We ain't got no problem with that. Because you can certainly deal with the 2.1 million people in Palestine, can't you? You certainly dealt with 750,000 back in 1948, and now all of a sudden you can't fucking deal with 800,000 little, whiny, miserable, land-grabbing thieves? You can't deal with that? Why? Because Jew must not fucking take up arms against Jew? They will take up arms against the idea. And the moment they do, they are a threat. They are an enemy of the state. Here's what you do. You got the carrot, you got the stick. I'm gonna solve this for Gideon Levy. You take it. I'm going to solve this for Gideon Levy. I'm going to solve it for him. You take out the Jewish supremacy thing because they're going to take up arms against you. They're harming the state of Israel. If you say the only reason you can't fucking agree to a two-state solution is because of these 800,000 jackasses, greedy jackasses, most of whom aren't Israelis. They came from other places. Most of whom aren't even Jewish. They're just pretending so they can get some land. You tell me those 800,000, the fate of those 800,000 is more important than all the fucking Jews in Israel and all the Jewry across the world? You are a fucking moron, Mr. Levy. You are. Or you're a liar. It's one of the two. It's got to be. You can easily remove them. Carrot, stick, carrot. Okay, look, jackasses. You're only there because you want to steal some fucking land. Tell you what, we got this big patch of land between, a little south, but between Gaza and the West Bank. A whole bunch of fucking land down there. We'll give you some of that. We'll give you 3 times that you have right now, where you're sitting right now. And we'll make sure we bring in fucking irrigation and water and electricity, and we'll give you a stipend. 200,000 fucking shekels a year. If you just shut the fuck up, get on the goddamn bus, pack up your pictures and your dreidels, get the fuck out, because you are harming Israel's fucking best interest. That's the carrot. Or, even better still, because most of them don't even really come from fucking Israel in the first place. Tell you what, dude. Because you came here with all good intentions to steal somebody else's fucking land and beat old ladies and little kids and dump fucking carcasses down their wells and destroyed their olive groves, because you've been such a positive fucking influence to all the young people, tell you what we'll do. We'll give you a fucking condo in Miami and all the coke you can fucking sniff. Until, of course, you OD. You got all kinds of ways with the carrot to get them off. Now, if they go, oh, no, we're going to stay here, fuck you. This is God's land. Did that just fuck up my video? Probably did. This is God's land. We're not leaving. Then what you do is this. Stick. You bring in the same goddamn F-16s and F-35s that American taxpayers gave you, motherfuckers. And in one night, you take out 3 fucking settlements. up on the hilltops looking down while they're getting ready to sneak down there and do some damage to some Palestinian's home. Kill their dog, maybe. You fly a goddamn sortie over 3 fucking settlements, and you do to them what you do to hospitals, universities, schools, refugee camps in Gaza. You wipe them off the fucking map. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, I swear to fucking God Almighty. You do that to 3 fucking settlements. You will have to you will have to move all the other traffic the fuck out of the way, because there will be an exodus from fucking the West Bank by these fucking messianic Zionists like you wouldn't fucking believe. We'll take the carrot part. We'll take the carrot. I want to go to Miami. They will be gone. Boom! Why? I'll tell you why. Why will they be gone when the Palestinians wouldn't? Because it's not their fucking land. They stole it. You fucking simp. You can't move 800,000 fucking settlers off. I just told you you could. I just told you how you could. Bring me to Oxford, motherfucker. Let's see how those guys deal with me. Let's see how Gideon Levy deals with me. Of course you can do it. You did it in 1948 to 800,000 fucking people. You can do it in 2024. The only difference is you just have to have the will, and you have to set aside that whole Jewish supremacy thing. You can't do that to Jews. Why the fuck not? I tell you somebody who did do that to Jews. Irgun, the Stern Gang. They did it to Jews. They killed Jews. Why? To birth Israel. Were there any Jews on the USS Liberty? I'm sure there were. 1 or 2. Did they care? No, fuck them. Were there Jews in the Twin Towers? Listen to me very carefully. We know the only possible solution that is actually dead is the one-state solution. They will not ever accept Palestinians as equals. And I'm not just talking about the fucking crazy fucking messianic Zionists. I'm talking about the average, everyday goddamn Israelis. Yes, I'm smoking inside. Why? Why? Why, you ask? I'll tell you why. In fact, better yet, I'll show you why. Because they're listening to people like this.
We will address the uncomfortable reality that some of those anti-Israel protesters are Jews.
Oh my God, no.
Hundreds of Reform rabbis, cantors, educators, administrators, and lay leaders of our synagogues will begin to grapple with our own inadequacies. Why are so many of those young Jewish protesters graduates and alumni of Reform synagogues, Reform youth groups, Reform summer camps? What did we do wrong? And most importantly, what should we be doing now to instill in our youngsters the core Jewish value, without which nothing Jewish makes sense?
The core Jewish value without which nothing makes sense.
Ahavat Yisrael. Love, concern, and responsibility for fellow Jews.
Love, concern, and responsibility for fellow Jews. No one else. Mr. Levy, no one else. Solidarity Group in Fraser Valley. No one else.
Everything Jewish begins with Jewish people.
This is not 1948. This is not 8 years ago. This was filmed during Yom Kippur this fucking year. And this is a senior Rabbi Hirsch. He is on fucking MSNBC, CNN, Fox News all day long. All fucking day long. And what is he telling his people? What is he telling young Jewish people?
Everything Jewish begins with Jewish people.
Everything. Jew, 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 Jew. Not Jew, Palestinian, Arab, humans. No. This is what they are taught. This is why when I thought that this whole thing would be over by January of 2024, I was wrong. Deeply wrong. But I'll tell you this right now. I'm not the only one. Because even the fucking Palestinians who did this had no clue that it would go on 380 plus days. They had no clue they would lose over 100,000 people in their population. They had no clue that they would be allowed by the fucking world to be wiped off the fucking map. Every goddamn outhouse, every fucking little fucking shed, every school, every university, every goddamn hospital. They had no clue that the world would sit by and do abso-fucking-lutely nothing while the worst genocide in the history of mankind unfolds right in front of our fucking eyes, and we do nothing. Why do we do nothing? Because it's not being portrayed the way it is being done by the fucking IDF. Why is that? Because Jew will not fucking betray Jew. And who runs our fucking media? I'm sorry, it's not anti-Semitism. It's just reality. The guy just fucking told you. He just fucking told you. What did he tell you?
Everything Jewish begins with Jewish people.
Eight years ago, Gideon Levy told you the two-state solution is dead. You cannot do it because you can't get rid of the 800,000. I just told you how you get rid of the 800,000. Carrot, stick. They are not the bravest people in the world. They would not be able to do what they do without the IDF standing behind them. Take the IDF out. Take the fucking arms supply out. Let them be surrounded by the Palestinians on Palestinian land and see how many of them choose to leave on their fucking own. And if they don't, then yeah, bring in the F-35s. You'll only have to do it to 1 or 2 settlements on one night. And I guarantee you, the fucking coward settlers will be gone the next day. It will be an exodus like none you have seen in history. It'll be fucking biblical. They will be gone of their own accord. Because it is not their fucking land. And now I address the one-state solution, the human rights solution. Give them human rights. In a world run by these people? In a country run by these people?
Kol Yisrael arevin ze baze. All Jews are responsible one for the other, the sages taught. And if you do not feel this special bond with other Jews, you're emotionally damaged.
Do you want to hear that again? Or is once enough? He goes on. I'm not making this shit up. He goes on. Here's a good one. You'll like this one. I just let this play.
Babies in cribs and grandparents who could barely walk were slaughtered in their houses.
By the IDF.
What does it take for those who consider themselves paragons of social justice to speak out for Jews, and if not Jews, at least in defense of the central values of Western Enlightenment?
The central values of Western Enlightenment. Here he is, proselytizing to these people. What's wrong with you Jews? You're supposed to support Jews. But even if you can't support Jews just because we're Jews, the central values of Western Enlightenment should tell you that we are the perpetual victims. A granny was killed on October the 7th, over a year ago, by the IDF. But we blame the Palestinians, so therefore, ergo, therefore I am. We've justified in killing 17,000 children ever since. The core values of Western civilization.
Of Western Enlightenment.
The core values of Western Enlightenment. The Palestinian 17,000 children don't matter when it comes to one grandmother killed over a year ago. This is what his argument is.
Alas, the sad history of the human species teaches that there is no correlation between high intelligence and high morality.
You're goddamn right about that, aren't you? Let's listen to that one again, shall we?
Teaches that there is no correlation between high intelligence and high morality.
This is the kind of person teaching young people in Israel. Not messianic fucking Zionist settlers, young people, young scholars, young intellectuals, young business people, people who will grow up to be teachers, rabbis, lecturers, writers, business leaders, soldiers. That the only fucking morality is Jew stand with Jew. And that their specific version of morality is not boys and girls. View Palestinians as equals with human rights. I can't make it any clearer than that. This is where we are now versus what he was talking about 8 years ago. Which solution is dead? I ask you. There is a concern, I am sure, that they won't talk about, because Jew must not backstab Jew in public. But I'm sure that there is a concern. Now, I only say these things, I'm not being fucking anti-Semitic. This is their words, not mine. But there has to be a concern if you take 800,000 happy, messianic, fucking crazed Zionists living on stolen land, and you force them off of said stolen land back into the population in Israel, that you will have a generation of a new Irgun and Stern gang whose sole purpose in life will be to harm anybody in order to cause problems between the new relationships between Palestine and Israel. Terrorists. You will have 800,000 angry, hostile, bitter, jobless, talentless, skillless, messianic Zionists bumping around through Israel with nothing to do other than pout and talk to each other and plot and plan things to do to disrupt the relations between Israel and Palestine. And of course, if you look at history and you understand what the Stern Gang did and what Irgun did back in the day, then you'll know there are threats to both Palestinians and Israelis and Jews alike, to Muslims and Jews alike, presented by such groups. This, of course, is one of the reasons that Gordon Levy will not fucking talk about, because, as the man said before, Jews have to stand with Jews. So you cannot present that, because it would present the Zionists and the messianic Zionists in a bad light. This is true. This is true. I did not say that the two-state solution, getting rid of the 800,000, would be easy. It'll be easy chasing them off the fucking land. That'll be real easy, especially for the IDF. They're really good at blowing up houses. But then, of course, you have to deal with them and bringing them back into Israeli society. I did not claim that would be easy. Offering them other land, offering them a chance to go to Miami and live in a condo. Money apparently is no object. And of course, there are Zionists in places like Miami, in places like fucking London, in places like fucking Spain and Barcelona and all over the world who could facilitate that. Even give them jobs, careers, training, to do something real other than just beating up old Palestinian ladies and dropping a carcass down her well. There's not much of a call for that in Detroit. That's a skill set that you don't really need. This is all possible. This is all doable. It is a reality that they have to face. But here's the thing that Gordon Levy also won't tell you, that I will, and that is, yes, that's a serious problem. That's a serious concern. It's a serious concern not only for Israel, but also for Palestine, for Muslims all across the world, and for the rest of us who think, I don't know, peace in the Middle East might be a good idea. So yes, it is a problem. However, it is a problem of Israel's creation. Gordon Levy, to his credit, in that speech he gave at the Oxford Student Union, started the whole thing off with, yeah, they could have easily facilitated, the Israelis, a two-state solution, 1949, 1967, 1978, 1982, 2000. They could have legitimately facilitated a two-state solution at any point in time. They could have done it yesterday. But they chose not to. Instead, what they chose to do is support the fucking settlers. Because they will always say As long as there's 800,000 settlers, there can't be a two-state solution. There has to be a one-state solution, and the reason they say that is simply because, you got it, you guessed it, we're back to this again. I don't give a fuck whether you claim you're treating Palestinians with human rights and they can vote. Who gives a shit? You have the first stage of the Greater Israel Project. And by the way, they are bombing Lebanon in the exact same way. Hospitals, schools, universities, that they bombed Gaza. So they are already working on the next phases of the Greater Israel Project. They are bombing Syria. They soon will be bombing Iran. And I guess, unless they just hand it over, Saudi Arabia. And Egypt. This is happening, whether you want to admit it or not. It is a problem for them, reincorporating and reintegrating these broken people into the world, into Israel. Fuck you. Sorry. I guess that's my timer. It's telling me I've been running my mouth too long. But again, that's Israel's problem. They made it. They made them. Now they got to fucking deal with them. They broke them. Now they got to fix them. You steal somebody's car, you don't make up for it by going, you know what, you got my respect, I'll see you later, vroom. Sucker. That's what Gordon Levy is saying. That's what Gideon Levy is saying. That's what anybody who says, that's the only solution, human rights, a vote. Here you go, you got my respect. Here's a voting card, here's a voter ID card. Get out there and vote and be somebody. Of course, you're going to take the bus because I'm stealing your car. I ain't giving you your car back. That's not human rights. The only solution is the two-state reality and recognizing that Palestine and Israel are two states that are separate, that they already exist by the June 1967 Green Line, the 1949 Green Line. That was last respected in June of 1967. All right? That's it. End of story. There is no one-state solution. We are 8 years past what he was talking about at the fucking Oxford Student Union, an intellectual talking to other intellectuals, and all we've done is gotten worse in Israel. Not better, worse. And this idea of Jewish supremacy has become further instilled in the minds of young Jewish people, not just in Israel, but around the world. And they are being told, you got to choose a side. It's always Jews first, everybody else second. The Goyim second. You cannot expect human rights from people like that. If that's how Israel wants to run their country, I'm not going to tell them how they should and how they shouldn't. If that's how North Korea wants to run their country, I'm not here to tell them how they should or they shouldn't. If that's how Turkey wants to run their country, I'm not here to tell them how they should or they shouldn't. I'm here to tell you that they can't legally steal another fucking country, land from another country. They cannot legally kill and displace millions upon millions of other people from another country. They cannot. The two-state solution is the only solution to this problem. It always was. It always will be. Thank you for your time.